What is up, you guys? It is Sam.
Hi, Sam. I am J.R. Chadwick.
I don't know if any of you guys have, seen videos from Blaire White. But she's a trans woman here on YouTube, and I totally respect the fact that she's trans, and I totally respect the fact that she is talking about transgender issues with such a wide audience. But what I find really confusing is the fact that she's made a lot of videos that are pretty much anti-trans education.
Anti-trans education. You mean anti-stuff that other people who claim to speak for all transgendered people say? Education. Blaire White is a transgendered woman talking about transgender issues. How do you qualify what she says as anti-trans education, but qualify what other trans people say as trans education?
She has made videos criticizing them and saying that, it's not valid or whatever.
How is criticizing them wrong unto itself? Are you saying that what a trans person says cannot be challenged? That there is only one valid point of view? Instead of immediately dismissing a contrary idea, perhaps you should consider listening to what Blaire White has to say and consider adjusting your beliefs. The best way to learn is usually by listening to somebody with whom you disagree. You will either change your position based on the new ideas to which you are exposing yourself, or you will be better prepared to defend your position.
So kids never learn to question things. Nobody questions things in this country anymore. Nobody questions things. Why? People are too fat and happy.
Now, I know Miss White can often be crass or harsh.
He's basically what happens when you combine a Pokemon hentai fetish, a spare chromosome, and 20-something years of sexual repression.
But this is not a debate team. While she, myself, and other similar content providers usually aim to be educational and accurate, in order to make our videos entertaining, it sometimes requires some harsh criticisms and even some insults and jokes thrown in here and there.
Okay, I don't know he has a Pokemon hentai fetish.
This is something I am foregoing this time since you are new to this arena and look rather young, possibly 17 to 21.
She criticizes, different pronouns that aren't, gender specific, like she or he or whatever, She criticizes them and says, she thinks that they, them doesn't make sense, or, z or zer or whatever. She has really, really criticized those pronouns.
Language is not something that can be redefined by the individual. When we see someone we do not know, we have to use pronouns to identify them. We can tell males and females apart usually very easily, but nobody knows what a z or a zer or a them looks like. When I first saw you, my mind immediately identified you as female. That is not something I was indoctrinated into believing, nor is it something that you can educate, criticize, shame, or pester me or anyone into changing.
When I see stuff like that, I just think it's so toxic because, there are people who that is their identity.
Sam, we are not obligated to respect everyone's identity just because they say they are something.
Hi, I'm they, and I use they, them pronouns.
Did he just say his name is they and his pronouns are they? Bye. I'm literally done.
I have seen a teenage girl who identifies as a cat. I have seen a grown man that identifies as a baby and another that identifies as a 6-year-old girl. Now, Blaire White lives as a woman and has gone through a chemical transition, so I respect her preference to be referred to by female pronouns. Personally, I wish there was a cure for the root cause of gender dysphoria, so no one would have to go through such drastic changes to be happy with their bodies. Hell, I cringe at people having their wisdom teeth removed. Now, people like Milo Stewart? Milo does not live as a man, and has no serious plans to transition in any way. I once heard her state that if she does take testosterone, she would still wear a dress to be a gender confusion. Milo Stewart is a Tumblrite who simply enjoys attention and feeling contradictory in order to make herself feel special without having really accomplished anything. I do not grant her request to be referred to by male pronouns.
There's nothing wrong with not even wanting to transition.
If someone makes a request of me to identify them in a way that is far removed from the social norm and against scientific evidence, I am under no obligation to respect it, and that does not make me a bigot.
And, it's not the main part of their life.
If that is true, why do so many people make their identifiers their leading arguments?
I am cisgender male, poly, and disabled. So I am I've got a lot of privilege on this panel.
It's not like they're going around attacking people for it.
Oh, really? Why don't you Google misgendering is a hate crime? Or misgendering is violence? New York is considering fining people who do not use a person's preferred pronouns, even if they are pronouns they made up, like here or Z. And then there's also this.
Sorry guys, there's only two genders, female and male.
Oh my God.
To not be misgendered, that's a basic human right.
Well, a basic human right? I do not know about that. If someone were to insist on referring to me with female pronouns, I would not appreciate it, and it would probably become annoying after a while. That is not because there's anything bad about being a woman. I simply do not want to be called something that I am not. I live as a man, I have male genitalia, and I have XY chromosomes. It is against the social norm to refer to me as a woman. But if someone chooses to do so, then that is their right. Free speech is a right, no matter how stupid that speech is. They are not causing me or anyone else any harm by doing that, so no one has a right to stop them.
Nobody should have to succumb to, the social pressures and the, heteronormative and cisnormative pressures of society telling people that they need to be one gender or another.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but heterosexuality and cisgendered are normative. There is a normal, there is a usual, there is a common, there is a regular, there is a standard, and it is not bigotry to acknowledge that. The vast majority of people are heterosexual. That is normal. It is abnormal to be homosexual. It does not mean they are bad or lesser people, but they are the outliers. People who have gender dysphoria, or as you would call them, people who are not cisgendered, are the extreme minority. There are hundreds of times more people who are homosexual than transgendered. They are also outliers. This small minority of people does not overturn our understanding of biology. It is normal to be romantically and sexually attracted to the opposite gender. It is normal to identify as a gender into which you were born.
Saying, they can only be male or female, or, a girl or a boy, etc. I just think that's so toxic to tell people that it's not normal or that their gender doesn't exist.
Well, sorry reality upsets you, but people are what they are. Unfortunately, you seem to be under the mistaken impression that we have to accept identities that are removed from both science and the social norm. You keep using the word toxic. A lot of people like you use words like toxic, bigotry, privilege, ignorance, etc. when faced with people who disagree with you. I think that is a defense mechanism. Blaire White says things that are contrary to your beliefs. This makes you feel upset. Therefore, Blaire White is doing something harmful. It is a method of avoiding responding to her actual points, which you seem to have missed. In her video, Tumblr Vomit, Blaire White stated her objections quite clearly. People like Milo Stewart make it seem like trans people are a separate community of easily offended special snowflakes who look down on the rest of us, or to quote her directly, you otherize us. She is a trans woman, but ultimately it does not define who she is. She is comfortable with herself. Hell, she has made more jokes about her penis than most men that I know. She does not try to make non-transgendered people feel ashamed, nor does she use the fact that she is transgendered to try and score points in an argument.
And most disturbingly, by telling me that you're not transphobic, you're telling me that you think you know everything there is to know about being trans.
Or they're telling you they don't hate you for being trans. Like, that could be it too.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my gender, obviously, because I haven't made any videos on here, and just introduce who I am, what my gender is, and what my pronouns are. So, me, personally, I am non-gender. I don't know if you guys could tell, maybe not, but it is a more uncommon gender, but the fact is it is still real. So basically what non-gender is it's like when you have a bag of dum-dums.
Go! Dum-dum.
Yes?
You give me gum-gum.
I give you gum-gum?
You do dum-dum, you give me gum-gum.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Please continue.
Basically what non-gender is it's like when you have a bag of dum-dums and none of the flavors appeal to you or feel right for you, and so you grab the one with the purple wrapper with the question marks on it, and you know, you don't know what flavor it is, your friends don't know what flavor it is, and the Dum Dum company doesn't know what flavor it is. You know, nobody knows. It's really a mystery. That's pretty much how non-gender is. You know, my gender isn't clear to myself or others around me or anybody, basically.
You are comparing your gender to some sort of mystery candy. I am sorry, but gender is not that complicated. You are either male or female. This is how our species evolved. It does not matter what clothes or jewelry you wear or what your personal interests are. While making this video, I baked some cookies. Does my proclivity for making baked goods mean I have some female aspects? No, because I do not define my gender by what I do or what I like, and neither should you. It seems to me that the agender or gender fluid folk have latched on to the idea of transgender and are trying to stretch it out into an umbrella term to describe anyone who rejects the gender binary. It is not socially acceptable to discriminate against people on the basis of them being transgender, meaning strictly that they are or have transitioned from one gender to the other. It is not socially acceptable to refer to transgender people by their biological gender. You want all this to include you, even though you do not fit that definition. So you're changing the definition to just be anyone that has their own unique special snowflake gender identity and expect society to require everyone to treat you the same as real transgender people. That is not how it works. Your explanation of your gender is essentially meaningless, and I do not find any reason to accept it as fact, especially if you cannot provide a coherent definition.
I'm very comfortable being non-gender. My pronouns are they and them.
But you look female. You are biologically female. Do you really correct everyone that refers to you as she and her? Do you accept that greater than 99.9% of people who look like you use the standard feminine pronouns? Are we not allowed to assume people's genders based on how they are biologically or how they present themselves, just because of the slim chance of offending someone who acts outside the social norm and the language norm?
I think those are definitely valid. They, them is actually extremely common.
True, but only for use in the plural, or for a generic statement about an unknown individual. When you are addressing or describing a known person, the correct way to describe that person is with gender-specific pronouns. And yes, languages do change and evolve over time, but like I said, the core of languages do not change much, especially the language used to distinguish the genders that works very well for 999 out of every 1,000 people.
The other thing I just find so funny about Blaire White is the fact that she is a trans woman and is directly benefiting from the trans community and this activism and you know, what's going on and everything like that. You know, she's directly benefiting from it.
Actually, Blaire has repeatedly rejected the so-called trans community. She sees no benefit to you, Stuart, and these people who throw around words like bigot and toxic so lightly. Blaire is against discrimination, hatred, and violence, but she is also against the Tumblr trans community. She wants people to treat her like a regular person, rather than having us walk on eggshells around her and learn a new language, terrified of offending her over trivial issues or questions. You are the one causing harm to the way trans people are perceived. Compared to these people, She is a breath of fresh air.
She attacks Black Lives Matter regularly.
Again, you seem to think that because a group of people are not a majority group, they are immune from criticism. Not being racist myself, I do not treat people differently based on their skin color, and neither does Blaire. If a group of white people were to behave this way, do you really think that anyone would be on their side?
She always is, attacking feminism, even though she is a woman, and it's just biting the hand that feeds you, and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair.
Feminism does not equal women. She is not ignorant of the way women and trans people were treated in the past or continue to be treated in some parts of the world. People like us are not anti-feminists because we are ignorant or do not think men and women should have the same rights. We are anti-feminists because we believe the feminist movement of the 21st century is causing more harm than good. Once again, you seem to think that a particular movement, which just so happens to focus on a historically oppressed demographic, is default in the right and immune from criticism. I hope as you mature and learn, you will become more thoughtful and open-minded and more skeptical than you seem to be right now. The next 80 seconds does not make much sense, so I'm skipping it.
So, for example, I'm non-gender, but I definitely feel free to paint my nails or wear lipstick or makeup or whatever. I don't always wear lipstick, but I just thought for the sake of this video and to illustrate my point, I just thought that to better illustrate my point, I would wear lipstick.
Like I said, it does not matter how you feel, what you wear, or your orientation. There are two genders, and you are female. While there is a binary of gender, there is not a binary of behavior.
Anyone can express themselves in whatever way they want. I don't think it has anything to do with gender.
Exactly. Changing your clothes or not putting on makeup does not change the fact that you are still a woman. And that is all I have to say about your video. Welcome to the YouTube Content Creators Club. I look forward to whatever response you decide to make.